Welcome to the Lion City State for day 2 on the Singapore leg of FINA's Swimming World Cup 2019. Thrills and spills to be found all over this great island, and there were some thrilling moments in the pool here last night as well. Tonight, more thrills and the spotlight well and truly on Joseph Schooling. Welcome live to the OCBC Aquatic Centre for the evening session on day 2 of the 2019 FINA Swimming World Cup here in Singapore, where Joseph Schooling, with questions to answer, he remains Singapore's favourite swimming son, but a big performance of the 200 metres individual medley would do very nicely. Thank you very much. We'll see him just after 7 o'clock this evening local time. I'm delighted to say Chris Gilchrist is alongside me, Olympian and former FINA short course world champion. And Chris, we're in for a treat tonight. Some really fascinating events in store.
We certainly are. We have some superstars in almost every event, and as you mentioned, Joseph Schooling in an event that we don't normally see him in, so that's going to be very exciting and interesting.
Well, we kick things off with a 400 metre individual medley, and there are some big names straight off the bat in this one, as well as an opportunity for 2 Singaporeans to try and improve their personal best. But again, we saw a great clash between Hosu and Jalopoulos last night. We could well see one again here. Add into the mix as well Erica Sullivan. This is a warm race, Chris.
It certainly is. That 200 butterfly, as you mentioned last night, Jacobos was slightly in the lead at 150 metres, but Katinka Hosu showing her grit and determination on that last 50. I would imagine that this evening we're going to see Hosu taking it to another level. She is absolutely dominant in this event and has been for a good number of years now. But there are some strong swimmers in here. We've got Vitalina, who we also saw in the 200 breaststroke last night. She tends towards the more difficult events in the pool, bit of a glutton for punishment perhaps. And we also have Erica Sullivan, the American swimmer, who competes in the 25-kilometre open water swimming event. So obviously very well trained indeed. So some really tough ladies in this event.
Yeah, the Americans, of course, the traditional Olympic powerhouse when it comes to the pool. The Australians have been having their way so far at this 2019 FINA World Cup, and they picked up 5 gold medals yesterday. Hungary, you see the duo there, Katinka Hosu and Susanna Jacobos, managing to get on the gold medal board last night as well. So an interesting heat. Can Simonova make an impact from lane 2? It'll be the 2 Hungarians dominating from 4 and 5, and fascinating to see how Sydney Chun of Singapore gets on in lane number 1. And there you can see the very best in action here. We've got the world record and World Cup record holder in this contest. It's the fastest heat list. The medals all but certain to come from this race. The 400 metres women's individual medley about to get us underway here on day 2 at the OCBC Aquatic Centre. Chun in 1, Simonova 2, Sullivan 3, Hosu 4, Jacobos 5. Isleta of the Philippines in 6, Ong in 7, and 13-year-old Millie Loughnan in lane 8. Great, the other 13-year-old gets on here. Swimmers to their blocks. And away they go.
Yeah, we should see Jacobos and Hosu taking it out pretty strong on the butterfly, as we saw them leading the way in that 200 butterfly last night, so don't be surprised to see them taking it out strong.
Well, she won't be in front, I don't think, by the end of the race, but Millie Loughnan at 13 years of age showing the best reaction time from the blocks. But as expected, early on in the butterfly leg of this medley, it is the 2 Hungarians in already what is quite a commanding lead after less than 50 metres, Chris.
It certainly is. I mean, in terms of their best times, those 2, in particular Hosu, is a fair amount ahead of this field. She is the world record holder. We won't be expecting her to get particularly close to that tonight, off the back of the World Championships just a month ago, but she will be looking to get as close to 4 minutes 30 as possible, I would have thought. Jacobos, as we said, a very strong butterfly swimmer. All the Hungarians very, very, very strong in the medley events. They are brought up through the age group swimming programs for medley.
So Hosu will lead at the end of the fly, Jacobos in second, and I think that's Sydney Chun, is it, hanging on to No, sorry, Erica Sullivan in third, apologies. Erica Sullivan in third, and Erica will be hoping she keeps close throughout the back and the breaststroke, because she's been in fine form in the freestyle races so far, Chris.
Absolutely, she definitely won't be struggling in terms of fitness, coming off that open water swimming background, and that'll obviously give her some advantage on the freestyle. It's just really a matter of how close she can be after the breaststroke, as you said.
Well, halfway through the backstroke leg of this 400-metre medley, and they're already showing a good 4 or 5 seconds in front, the two Hungarians. And is there going to be a battle for third here? Erica Sullivan was in possession last time we checked. She still is hanging on to 3, but Susanna Jakobos unable at the moment to get past Katinka Yozu, and Chloe Isleta of the Philippines is also well in the mix for a medal here.
Absolutely, we'll be keeping a little eye on the two Singaporean-based swimmers in the outside lanes. They'll be looking to try and take some time off their best times, entered in just over 5 minutes, so we'll see how close those two girls can get as well.
Incredible to think at just 13 years of age, Millie Lothman there at the bottom of your screen in lane number 8, racing at this kind of level can only be good for her development, Chris, and that's what a large part is what this is all about, getting these club swimmers involved.
Absolutely, I mean, how many opportunities does a swimmer like that have to race against an Olympic champion? That is the real delight of having the World Cup here in Singapore, is the Singapore swimmers, the Singapore-based international swimmers have the opportunity to race against the best swimmers in the world. Well,
Hozu leads at the turn in the breaststroke leg, and she's still a good body length plus in front of Susanna Jakobos. Erica Sullivan at the moment comfortably enough.
Well, Simonova coming through very strongly on that breaststroke. Not a huge surprise after winning the 200 breaststroke last night, but she just took chunks out of the other swimmers there on the breaststroke, and she's moved firmly into third place.
Erica Sullivan's going to have work to do then to try and get that bronze in the freestyle leg, which is about to come up, and during the second half of that breaststroke leg, she stretched her lead. Katinka Hozu is now almost in splendid isolation. Hozu chasing in second, but as you said, Vitalina Simonova made a big move there, and she surely got a big enough lead for that third place position with just the freestyle to come, Chris.
You would think so. It's a too big a margin for the other swimmers to pick up. The interesting thing now is to see what Hosu's time is going to be, about 10 seconds over her PB pace at the 300-metre mark. So she's probably going to be trying to get underneath the 4 minutes 40 second mark.
Well, the final 30-odd metres, and it's going to be Katinka Hozu, who has been making this FINA Swimming World Cup 2019 almost like a personal benefit. She was 3 points behind Kate Campbell of Australia coming into the Singapore leg. She's piling on the pressure on Kate Campbell now. She's going to win this very comfortably indeed. In second spot will be her fellow Hungarian Katinka Hozu, and courtesy of that stunning breaststroke swim, it's going to be in third spot Vitalina Simonova, with Erica Sullivan having to make do with fourth. And Chris, let's keep an eye on these times for the two Singaporeans, Sydney Chun and particularly 13-year-old Millie Lothman, who are going to learn an enormous amount from their experience here tonight.
They absolutely will. Sydney entered in a time of 5:08, just outside that, coming within 3 seconds of her entry time.
Looking at this, she actually swam faster this morning, Katinka Hozu. Does that surprise you?
Actually, that time is her entry time because these girls, fortunately for them, didn't have to swim the heats this morning. The 400 IM, the 1500, the 800 events are just a heat declared winner because it's a 3-day meet. When you get to the World Championship and Olympic level, they will swim heats, followed by the finals either that evening or the next day for the long distance freestyle events. But for the World Cup, fortunately for them, they don't have to swim the heats. So that's the first time we've seen these ladies perform the 400 IM here in Singapore. And
what about that battle between Kate Campbell and Hozu? We'll talk more about that. Let's get over to John. He's with the winner.
I tell you what, she's got out of the pool with a big smile on her face. Katinka, you took the triple in this. Gold in Tokyo, gold in Jinan, gold here. Nice for you, that, right?
Yes.
Oh, she's giving me a lot here.
Sorry. Yeah, it's been really fun.
Yeah. I know, like, in medley events, you've got to be so strong nowadays, especially nowadays in all 4 strokes. Training, do you train them all evenly, or do you, of course, have your favourites?
It actually depends on my strokes, obviously, which one needs more work. But that's exactly why I enjoy the medley, because it's so, changes every day. And I like to race it as well, because you have a different strategy and everything. So, I think the best one is the medley, obviously.
I love it, and I know it's your favourite, but look, you got the 100 back coming up, so hopefully we'll see you back here. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Katinka Hosu.
Well, Katinka Hosu adds to her 200-metre butterfly and 200-metre medley in Tokyo, and Jinan to the 400-metre individual medley here in Singapore, having come out on top yesterday in the 200 fly. Well, have to move very quickly on, Chris, because we got another long distance affair next. This time it's the longest distance of all.
It is. We have the 1500 freestyle for men coming up. One thing that we will be keeping an eye on here is that there was a very fast times from this morning. German swimmer who medalled in the 400 freestyle last night posted a time of 15 minutes 35.
As we're introduced to Zachary Tay, one of the Singapore club swimmers today. Paul, if you just like to explain that to people, Chris, obviously, as you said, there's no qualifying heats for the first 2 races, but there are actually 2, if you like, separate finals where it's the fastest time counts.
For sure. So this morning was classified as the slower heat, and this evening is the fastest heat. So although it's taking place in the final session, it is still technically a heat, and these swimmers this evening are still racing against the swimmers who performed this morning. So as I mentioned, Henning Müllentner from Germany posted a time of 15:35. So the swimmers will have taken stock of that, and they'll be having that as their little target.
And of course, this wouldn't be the most strength in depth race, to put it mildly here. So if you are Ben Roberts, who'll start a warm favourite here, are you going to be at this level switched on enough to know you're racing effectively against the clock rather than the people you're with in the pool here?
Yeah, he'll be well aware of that time posted this morning, and it's going to be quite challenging for him with an entry time of 15 minutes 15, and realistically going to be swimming probably against himself on the clock tonight. It's going to be quite difficult for him to get that little extra drive and motivation that you would normally get from having someone real close to you.
It's the men's 1500 metre freestyle, the fastest heat, but there is a fast time for them to aim at, set this morning by Henning Müllentner at 15:35.05. Ben Roberts the standout here, and great to see 5 Singaporean club swimmers in action, and Richie O as well. Of course, probably a bit ambitious for them to be looking at Olympic qualifying times, but nevertheless it will be a huge learning experience for them, swimming in front of this crowd here at the OCBC Aquatic Centre. 30 lengths of the pool.
Yeah, just a great opportunity for some of those younger club swimmers to race on TV in front of a crowd, which most of them won't have had the opportunity to do before.
Well, Zachary Tay in lane 1 only 13, Sheldon Tan in 2 only 14, Tay Tan, O Roberts, Ng Chang and Michaela. It's the fastest heat final of the 1500 metres freestyle here in Singapore on day 2 of the Lion City leg on the 2019 FINA Swimming World Cup. All eyes on Ben Roberts. The time to beat set by Müllentner this morning, 15:35.05, to take gold in this one. Slight delay here. Star is just waiting. They're up now. Only 7 lanes in action here. And Roberts not the fastest away, but when you're swimming over 1500 metres, the start not necessarily all important, Chris.
Yeah, the reaction time probably not at the forefront of these swimmers' minds, although they will be looking to still have an explosive drive off the block. It can be seen as free time when you're moving through the air, obviously a lot less resistant than water. My apologies. I was just about to say, interestingly, from the recent World Championships, there was a little bit of science from the final of the 1500 men, showing that for one of the first times in history, the turns were the difference between the top 3 swimmers. So it wasn't just swimming speed that decided the medals there, but the drive that the swimmers were getting off the wall, the streamline that they were showing, the underwater kicks. So those skills, although sometimes seen as not quite as important in the long distance events, those were that was the defining time between the top 3 swimmers at the World Championships.
I suppose even if you're talking fractions of a second, when you've got to do it 29 times, if your technique's not spot on, it's all going to add up. And interesting as well, obviously this has been a staple of the Olympic Games as an event for men, but for the first time in Tokyo there'll be a women's 1500 metre freestyle race as well.
Absolutely, that really works in the favour of the swimmers who specialise in those distance events. And we have started to see some of the open water swimmers and 1500 metre pool swimmers start to cross events a little bit more, realising that there is now more than one opportunity for them to earn medals in the Olympic pool and the Olympic open water.
Now, as an Olympian and former world champion yourself, Chris, I know you've got a swimming clock in your head. Of course, we're getting the world record splits up on the screen here for Ben Roberts' swim, but what we really need is the Henning Mulleiter splits to beat that time of 15:35.05, because you don't think it's a foregone conclusion. You'd make him favourite to do it, but not necessarily straightforward.
It's absolutely not straightforward. I remember from this morning, the swimmer was lapping about 31 low, 31.1 to 31.2 seconds per 50. We saw Ben just split 30.7, so he's just a tiny bit ahead, but it's still very early days. So if he slips by up to half a second per 50, it's going to get really tight.
And of course, we must remember there are silver and bronze medals up for grabs as well. We do expect Henning Mulleiter to at least be picking up a medal here, but we might be seeing one of the Singaporeans with a chance at sneaking a bronze here.
Absolutely. Richie Owen, lane 3, will fancy his chances for that. He obviously has the second fastest entry time in this heat, the third fastest swimmer on paper overall, so he'll be looking to try and pick up that bronze medal, a little bit of cash and hopefully a little personal best time.
Just the one medal for Singapore yesterday, and that was in the 200 metres women's fly. Kwa Sheng Wen of Singapore getting third in that thrilling contest between Katinka Hosszu and Jacobus. And a reminder, Joseph Schooling, who qualified with the fastest time for the 200 metre individual medley, he'll be due in the pool just after 7 p.m. local time here, so stay with us. You won't miss Singapore's first ever Olympic gold medalist back in action in his home pool here, having moved back to the Lion City State from his university in America. He'll be looking to get back on track here with a win after a disappointing World Championships in Gwangju. Back to the action here though in the men's 1500 metre freestyle, where Chris is analysing these times. And interesting, Ben Roberts' last lap time there, sneaking up into the 31-second territory, which is going to make it tough for him if it gets any higher than that.
Yeah, it's going to be really tight, but it makes it a little bit more exciting for us. We can see just in the race for second place at the moment, there's 3 Singaporean swimmers battling it out. It looks like Owen Ngang in lane 5 has just taken over Richie in lane 3.
Yes, Zachary Tay, the 13-year-old, has dropped off quite badly, but in defence to him, you'd expect that with this jump up in class and what he's used to swimming against. And Rasmus Michaela as well in 7. Not exactly with that main chasing group, who are clearly all going to chase in vain Ben Roberts, but you pointed out brilliantly in the context of the race, it's a very competitive heat, this battle for second, which ultimately could be a battle for bronze.
Absolutely, it is going to be the battle for bronze. These swimmers know that. They're well aware of that time that was posted this morning, and they know that there's a medal up for grabs, $500 for third place at this meet, so not a bad little payday for a club swimmer.
Well, you know, there's money in being a professional swimmer these days. These FINA Swimming World Cup prizes are pretty sensational. $150,000 to the series winner, $100,000 for second and $50,000 for third. Each individual race worth cash, as well, as Chris has just said. So as a circuit across 7 events across the globe, swimming is going from strength to strength in this build-up to an Olympic year. Checking on those lap times.
Yeah, he just managed to slip back under the 31-second mark, so he is slightly ahead of schedule, so he's fairly comfortable at the moment, but we need to keep an eye on that time. Owen has moved with a bit of body length lead in the race for second place in the heat, third overall. Looks like it's going to be really exciting between the three Singapore swimmers to pick up that bronze medal.
Yeah, that's going to come down to a battle of wills, you fancy, because there's no more than 2 body lengths between all three of them, racing as they are in 6, 5 and 3. But lane 4 is not far off now, being a length ahead of every swimmer in the pool. 2 lengths, in fact.
Possibly worth noting that the timing of the World Cup this year a little bit different to last year. Last year the Singapore World Cup was in November. Obviously that does have a little bit of an impact on the planning for the swimmers in terms of how that lies in their year-long schedule. Obviously the coach sits down with the swimmer at the start of each year, goes through the training plan, the competition plan. The FINA World Cup will obviously be on the radar of all the Singapore-based swimmers. As we've mentioned, it's an opportunity for these swimmers to race against some of the best swimmers in the world, which is not an opportunity that's going to crop up very regularly. So all of these swimmers will be taking the racing very seriously. However, we will be seeing a lot of swimmers in a very different place in terms of their training program. Some swimmers will not have had a rest over the month of July. However, the Nationals just finishing at the end of June, a lot of these swimmers will have been out of the pool for 4 weeks.
I mean, that's the great thing. I mean, you'll tell me, Chris, even how much it's developed since your peak swimming years in the likes of the 2008 Olympics. The schedule of the calendar's so packed now, so much money on offer to these swimmers. You've got the Olympics obviously upcoming, the World Championships just gone. You can't ignore these FINA World Cup meets because of the money available, but certain athletes, certain swimmers will focus on these rather than maybe dedicating themselves to an Olympic or World Championship tilt.
Yeah, it's a very interesting debate. I mean, we saw Vladimir Morozov winning the 50-metre freestyle last night, and a time that would have picked up silver medal at the World Championships, and he didn't finish on the podium there himself, so he actually raced faster here than he did at the World Championships. Now, I'm sure that wasn't his plan, but it just shows you the different levels of focus that the swimmers put on some of the internationals versus the World Cup meets.
We're at the halfway mark then in this fastest heat in the men's 1500 metre freestyle, where Ben Roberts is in a race against the clock. He's got a top Henning Muleiter's time of 15:35.05 from this morning's slowest heat final, if you like, to guarantee himself of gold. And as Chris told us before the race even started, he knows what he's talking about. It's going to be a fascinating three-way go between Singaporeans to see who can claim the bronze. In fact, let's check out and check up with that battle for bronze, if you like, Chris, because we seem to have a bit of movement in lane 5.
Yeah, a good 5 to 10 metre lead for Owen in lane 5 there. He has an entry time of 16 minutes and 24, so he'll be looking to try and improve on that if possible. Although obviously a lot of that will depend on how much training he's been doing over the month of July and the start of August.
And again, try and talk us through, Chris, at what point. I mean, it's the work that goes in from these swimmers to perform at this level is truly incredible. But when you're swimming over 1500 metres, 30 lengths, when does the lactic acid start to build up? When does the pain really kick in?
That's a really interesting point. Historically, the swimmers have always tried to progress their effort from 500s 1 to 3, so they'll obviously the first 50 is always going to be the fastest because you're fresh, you have the dive. But after that, historically swimmers would relax the first 500 a little bit, work the second 500 a little bit stronger, then the third 500 really push. But you see so many different displays of tactics on display in the 1500 at the world level now. You see some swimmers taking it really strong, trying to get a lead that just no one can compete with, and then you see some swimmers who'll finish really strongly.
Ben Roberts still managing to lap. He's pretty consistent. His last 2 lap times have both been 30.96, so he's clearly got into a solid rhythm. And at this point, you fancy he's going to best that time set by the German this morning. Yeah,
he's lapping about 0.3, 0.4 of a second per 50 faster than this morning. So, you know, you add that up over 30 lengths. You're talking 10 seconds, so he should be fairly comfortably taking the gold as long as as he doesn't get some kind of elephant on his back. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. Again, splitting 30.8 there, so very consistent.
Now let's keep an eye on this battle for second, which ultimately might only be a battle for bronze in this race, because Ben Roberts is now over 2 lengths in front of the Singaporeans chasing him on either side. But those two Singaporeans on either side, there's not much between them again now. Chris?
Yeah, it's still really close. It looks like Owen is quite clearly in second place in the race, but still really close for third place in this race.
He looks like he's got more to give nearest to us. I'm just looking at lane number 6, and he looks like Bernard Chan, that he's still got some petrol left in the tank.
He does, still stroke rating fairly quickly. You can usually tell when a swimmer is starting to lose a bit of energy in the 1500. The stroke length starts to decline, the stroke rate starts to decline. That means they're not travelling as far with each stroke, and the cadence of their stroke is starting to drop. Obviously you combine those two things, and that decides how fast you move through the water.
Ben Roberts' last lap time there, incidentally, quicker than his previous one, now 38.7, so he looks on course to pick up the men's 1500 metre freestyle gold medal here in Singapore. Henry Mulaita clearly is now almost certainly booked for gold or silver, most certainly silver. The fascination's going to come here for the run for home for second in this race and the overall bronze medal.
Yeah, I mean, Ben Roberts obviously racing against the clock as well as that time posted this morning. He did finish third at the Australian National Championships this year. Obviously at the Olympic Games in swimming, unlike some other sports, only 2 athletes can qualify for an event from each country. So at the moment, he's currently ranked third in Australia. So if he wants to qualify for the Olympics next year, he needs to drop a little bit of time.
Incidentally, the winning times from the 1500 metre freestyle races on the earlier 2 legs of this Asian swing of the 2019 FINA World Cup, won by Ji Xinji of China in Jinan and Japan's Takeda in Tokyo. So the first 2 legs of this year's World Cup so far have had home winners. It's not going to be a home winner this time. It looks booked for another medal for Australia, which will be their 6th overall, and we're only at the early stages of the second day. Remember, Joseph Schooling still to come, Singapore's favourite swimming sun, just after 7 p.m. local time, and we're currently at around about 6:55 p.m. local time.
We spoke a little bit earlier about the benefit of the World Cup for the local swimmers. Interesting to note that 5 different clubs are being represented in this race alone. So not only is it great for Singapore, but it's really offering all the different clubs an opportunity for their swimmers to experience something that they've never experienced before, and they'll take that experience back to the swimmers in their home clubs.
And of course there's that famous photo, isn't there, of Joseph Schooling with Michael Phelps from years and years ago. And are we seeing now with some of these youngsters coming through in Singapore swimming colours, 13-year-olds, 14-year-olds, the Joseph Schooling effect already, that the sport has grown in popularity since that moment from Rio 3 years ago?
For sure. The age group swimming in Singapore is very strong. It has always been fairly strong, in fairness, but there are a few 13 to 16-year-olds who are incredibly strong. There is one who has moved to the US, like Joseph Schooling did, in an attempt to take his swimming to the next level. But there are many Singapore-based swimmers who will be looking to make that Olympic team next year. We're going to see some of them in action tonight. We saw a couple in action last night.
Well, taking for granted, weren't we, at the start of this race, that Ben Roberts was going to win this comfortably, but it's pretty impressive. He now approaches this final 100 metres, just 2 lengths left to go, and when he shortly overtakes the man in lane 5, Noel Owen, he is now going to be 100 metres plus in front of everybody in the pool. He's still lapping under 31 seconds as well. A really impressive swim this from Ben Roberts. He's booked for gold with still just over 50 to go.
Absolutely, very impressive. Repping underneath 31 seconds for almost every 50 metre of this race. He's going to beat that time from this morning by a good 10 seconds, probably a little bit more than that.
All eyes now on the battle for second in this race and for the bronze medal ultimately. And as you called around about 10 lengths ago, Chris, it does look like Owen Yang, in his qualifying entry time suggested he would do, is going to hang on for second in this and bronze overall. And in the context of this mini race, disappointing really, not Can't really complain about Henning Mulleiter's time. He did it fairly this morning, but it's a bit disappointing that these Singaporeans involved in this titanic tussle for third in what they thought was the finals final are going to go without a medal as we head to the final couple of legs for the others. Ben Roberts finishes with 15:21.58. That's fully 14 seconds quicker than the German this morning. Now the battle of second and third.
Yeah, very close race for the third place in this race. Owen with a very stable lead to take second in this race, and most likely bronze overall. We'll still have to look at those times from this morning, but very likely to take that bronze medal. And he'll take that back to Akatex's own team, where he's based. As I said, 5 different clubs represented here. A great opportunity for some of these younger swimmers. You mentioned that infamous photo of Joseph Schooling with Michael Phelps, and I spoke a little bit last night. We were having a little bit of a debate about whether or not racing against these incredibly fast swimmers is motivational or demotivational for these Singaporeans. Obviously being lapped by a swimmer is not the nicest thing, but as long as the swimmers take it in the right way and see that as a motivation to what they need to do to take it to the next level, it can only help Singapore swimming.
Well, swimming in front of a big crowd like we have here at the OCBC Aquatic Centre tonight. And of course, when you consider the age of some of them, Zachary Tay, who's still got a couple of lengths to swim, won't be 14 till December. And Sheldon Tan, who swam in lane 2, only just turning 14. 15-year-olds swimming out of lane 6 and 7, so they'll certainly improve, and they've played their part. But Ben Roberts is going to take gold here. Henning Mulleiter is going to take the silver from his swimmer earlier on, and Owen Yang of Singapore will take the bronze. The medal ceremony is all presented in a cluster in a very nice in and out system, which we'll see after our 7th event tonight. Reminder, Joseph Schooling just around the corner. Not too long till we see Joseph Schooling in action in the 200 metre individual medley. Big cheer for the last 2 finishers. It's going to be Zachary Tay, who's going to finish just after Rasmus Michaela. And the crowd responding to it, Chris.
Yeah, interestingly, Sheldon Tan there in lane 2 with the strongest performance relative to his own entry time, entering a time of 17:21 and touched with 17:06, so he's taken 15 seconds off his entry time, and he's only 14 years old, so that's an excellent swim for him.
Australia pick up their 2nd gold of this Singapore meet. Joseph Schooling not too far away. Coming up next, incidentally, it's the men's 50 metre backstroke, which is a fascinating contest.
Yeah, the 50 backstroke, one of the races of the evening. It's got a couple of superstars in there. We saw them racing last night. They're on pretty decent form, so we're looking forward to that one. Slight
disappointment that Mitch Larkin won't be taking part. I mean, managed to qualify for the final this morning. He's opted to concentrate, much to Joseph Schooling's chagrin, I'm sure, on the 200 metre individual medley that follows this backstroke race that's next. There's confirmation Ben Roberts will get gold. Owen Young of Singapore will get the bronze, and there is the final freestyle medal positions. Let's get over to John.
The likes of Dennis, and yeah, it's good to get some racing in.
Yeah, and I mean, with a race like that of 1500, obviously so much training goes into it. The middle 1300 metres of that, you paced within 0.5 of a second of each of them. Is that something you focus on, sort of building up towards a race like this?
Yeah, definitely. It's what you train for. Lots of repetitions of the same cycles, yeah.
And you came out and got the gold. Look, congratulations. Awesome to see. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Australia's Ben Roberts.
Next on Fried Rice Paradise, her father arrested.
Your father has just confessed to the murder of your mother.
Her restaurant suspended.
What? That wasn't there before.
But her memories are starting to come back.
That's your father, right? He was here from 9 till 11 p.m.
That means Pa couldn't have been with Ma. Does this mean what I think it means?
Fried Rice Paradise, the drama series, Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. on 5. Can't wait to watch Fried Rice Paradise? You can watch it first on Toggle. Proudly brought to you by Tiger Balm Plaster. Only Tiger Balm offers warm, soothing pain relief with real raw power. And Mitsubishi Electric StarMax air conditioner.
Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong will be delivering his National Day rally speech at the Institute of Technical Education this Sunday. The speech will be telecast live at 6:45 p.m. Mr. Lee will be speaking in Malay, then in Mandarin. He will proceed to deliver his English speech at 8:15 p.m. You can also watch the rally online. Hear the coverage live on CNA 938.
Whatever you want, whenever you want it. 6,000 restaurants delivered right to your door. Food Panda. Order food you love.
Wish granted, Singapore. Tickets to Disney's Aladdin are now $72 for 72 hours. This magical offer ends on Sunday, 18th August at 12 noon. Don't miss the most spectacular musical ever seen in Singapore. Now playing at Sands Theatre, Marina Bay Sands till the 1st of September.
He can't expect or risk a mistake at the start. So the start here clearly going to be all important, Chris.
Absolutely. We have a 15-metre rule that the swimmers will take full advantage of. Their heads must break the surface before the red marker at the 15 metres. For the majority of these swimmers, their underwater kick is faster than their swimming on top of the water. And if they can get a good start, solid underwater, and then that transition from underwater to swimming nice and clean, that's what's likely to come down to.
What a lineup this is. Kratz in 1, Turskin in 2, Hollard in 3, Andrew in 4 of the United States, Morozov, the World Cup record breaker from yesterday, in 5, Merilis in 6, Lau in 7 of Hong Kong. Great that the Hong Kong team got here, and so of the host nation Singapore in 8. One length of the pool there in the men's 50-metre backstroke, and as Chris told you, it's all important who comes up on that 15-metre mark. And surprisingly, it looks to me like lane 4 just in front early, Chris.
That was a fantastic start from Andrew in lane 4. He came up about half a body length ahead, but Morozov is absolutely steaming down the pool.
Look at this, Morozov picked up Michael Andrew as if he was swimming still, and Morozov's going to win again. It's all going to be around the time. Morozov wins, Andrew in second, it's close for third, Hollard of Australia just in third. Now, all eyes on the clock.
24.40 seconds from Morozov. That's only 0.4 of a second off the world record.
But it's a new World Cup record, so only just missing out on the world record, but he picks up a World Cup record, which in itself will bring in bonus points and a cash bonus as well. And in less than 24 hours, Vladimir Morozov has broken 2 World Cup records, Chris.
Yeah, he's clearly on form here, isn't he? Questions might arise as to why he wasn't on that kind of form a month ago at the World Championships, but he certainly can't complain with how he's swimming, and it's great for us to watch.
And certainly now, even though it's just about a year away, he's a big contender for the Olympics if he carries on in this form.
He certainly is. He's got the 100 freestyle later, and we'll be really excited to see how that goes.
Well, I think John's going to try and have a word with Morozov very shortly. 2 world records, or World Cup records in 24 hours, and Joseph Schooling is coming next, so make sure you stay with us for that.
6-year best World Cup record last night, the 53. Another World Cup record tonight, obviously bang on form.
Yeah, feels good. It was a really close race with Michael. Yeah.
And I mean, out the blocks there, you were fast, slowest reaction time, and obviously making it up in the race. Is that something you'll be looking at sort of moving forward in the World Cups?
I've been working on my start, trying to change it up, but it's not working as expected so far.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see you improve on that, see what you can do, because that was awesome. As always, good luck in the 100 free. You'll see him later on, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Vladimir Morozov in a new World Cup record, 24.4.
John Mason catching up with a delighted Vladimir Morozov, who certainly likes these World Cup races, doesn't he, Chris?
He certainly does. He comes every year, he does the whole circuit, he picks up a whole wad of cash, he breaks lots of records. He just loves racing, I think. I
would say it's nice work if you can get it, but it actually means nice work if you can swim it.
Absolutely, and it's certainly not easy. He does a whole lot of training. A fantastic racer, and it's great for the Singapore crowd to watch world class times.
So just before we get to Joseph scoring in the 200-metre individual medley, running a little bit behind time here due to the length of that 1500-metre freestyle earlier this evening. We've got the women's 200-metre freestyle with a red-hot favourite here in Michelle Coleman. It will be a shot of seismic proportions if she does not win this.
Absolutely right. She swam very well yesterday. She's a world-class 200 freestyler. Her best time is 1 minute 55, which is significantly faster than the other swimmers in this race. We do have Jacobos again, who we saw in the 400 IM, who's obviously a strong swimmer, but you got to imagine she's going to be a little bit fatigued from that 400 IM, which was, you know, less than 30 minutes ago.
Quick mention for Maddie Goff as well. She won the 400-metre freestyle yesterday. How are you thinking on her thoughts of backing up less than 24 hours after winning over 400 metres, trying to do it over the shorter distance? I mean, it's an advantage to race the shorter distance first and the longer one second if you are going to double up in a meet?
And a meet like this is probably a benefit to do the shorter one first to avoid fatigue. When you go to an international meet and the competition takes place over 8 days, sometimes it's a benefit to get the longer ones out of the way first in terms of how you prepare for that competition, reducing the training and the periodisation. But certainly at a World Cup meet, you want to get those little sprints out of the way because they're less fatiguing.
It's interesting when you look at the qualifying times here for Michelle Coleman, 2 minutes, 0.32 seconds, and on the face of the clock, Zuzana Jacobos, who's already run her fellow Hungarian very close yesterday in Katinka Hosszú, would have a chance, but you got the impression that Michelle Coleman, the Swede, is just coming back into form here after a disappointing spell.
Absolutely. The heat times would suggest it's going to be a very close race. I think we've got to assume that a couple of swimmers, especially Coleman, are going to drop some time.
It's Alcalde of the Philippines in 1. Maddie Goff of Australia 2, Jacobos Hungary 3, Coleman Sweden the favourite in 4, Cheng of Hong Kong in 5, Taylor in 6 of Australia, Chan in 7 and Simonova of Russia in 8, and away they go, and straight away Michelle Coleman is into an early lead, although a great start I should say by Vitalina Simonova out there in lane number 8.
Yeah, another swimmer who completed the 400 IM about 30 minutes ago, another glutton for punishment. But that start from Coleman was fairly exceptional. She took about half a metre out of the rest of the field, and that's free time that they have to make up on her.
Well, the start was sensational, but she's not a clear-cut leader at the first turn. It's Camille Cheng of Hong Kong who leads, from Michelle Coleman in 2nd, Zuzana Jacobos in 3rd. But again, even though she didn't benefit from that fast start with a first length lead in the final reckoning at the end of that 4th length, you think it might still play a big factor here, but she's got a race in her hands, certainly.
She certainly does. Cheng has taken that first 100 out really quickly. Coleman just lagging behind. Obviously it's only coming up to halfway, and how much energy they've expended in that first half could be quite telling coming down that final 50 metres.
Well, we saw a Hong Kong medalist yesterday. How poetic would it be if we got a Hong Kong gold medalist here tonight, bearing in mind the trouble the team had just getting here, bearing in mind the circumstances in Hong Kong at the moment. And Camille Cheng is giving this a good go, but you just get the feeling now Michelle Coleman is trying to go through the gears, and Zuzana Jacobos is definitely close enough, if good enough as well.
Jacobos looks absolutely great here. I can't believe that she completed a 400 IM only 30 minutes ago. She looks like she's got loads of energy left. And I have to say, Cheng looks great. She isn't tying up. She turns in 1:28.2. These girls are going to be looking to be well under 2 minutes, which is really good swimming for them.
Just over 25 metres to go, and here comes Michelle Coleman. Can Camille Cheng hold on? It doesn't look like it. Coleman is sweeping through now, and don't rule out Jacobos either. It's Coleman in 4, Jacobos in 3 is finishing like a train. Camille Cheng only looks booked for 3rd now, and up towards the wall. I think Jacobos might just get there. Jacobos in 3 caught the huge shot. Michelle Coleman has to make do in 2nd. Camille Cheng with the bronze. What a swim from Zuzana Jacobos.
That's a fantastic swim. She's much better known as a butterfly and medley swimmer. As I said numerous times during that race, it was only 30 minutes ago that she just completed that grueling 400 metres individual medley, and then she's come back and she's just had the second 100 of dreams there. She came back like an absolute train. What a final 50 metres from Jacobos, finishing in 29.1 second on that last 50. That's such a strong finish from her. she deserved that gold medal, no doubt.
She certainly did, because she was involved in a titanic tussle yesterday that she came out on the wrong side of, on the silver side of, and she's been involved one there today. Look at the time, 1:58.40 as well. 2 swimmers breaking the 2-minute mark, and Canal Chen gave it everything as well. Another bronze for Hong Kong.
She did. She paid on that last 50. She came back in 32 seconds, which interestingly was the slowest final 50 metres of the field. So she paid for that early speed.
Let's get over to John. He's with the lucky winner.
Well, I tell you what, she kept us entertained then, didn't she? Susanna, lots of medals on the World Cup so far, but your first gold, how are you feeling?
You're very happy. It's a new face, huh?
Yeah. I mean, at the first 100, you turned 1.3 seconds slower than the leader. Very strong second 100. What was going through your mind in that final 50?
Yeah, you know, I had 4 AM before, so I was a little bit tired. So that's why I couldn't go faster.
But you know what, you got your hand on the wall first, and it's brilliant to see you get your first gold. Swimming a lot tonight, ladies and gentlemen. She's got a busy program. Give it up for the incredible Susanna Jakobos.
Susanna Jakobov, bearing in mind what she's been through in the last couple of minutes. She's breathing heavy, but she looks like she could get in and do another 2 lengths there.
I'm sure she wouldn't want to, but you're right, it looked like she could.
Right, now it's the moment all of Singapore has been waiting for. Josie Schooling, questions to answer after disappointing World Championships in Guangzhou, but he qualified with the fastest time in a very warm final that's up next in the men's 200-metre individual medley. It's Singapore's favourite swimming son, the only man to win a gold medal for Singapore at the Olympic Games, back in his home pool and looking to try and get his career back on track. Because this time next year, Chris, we'll be talking about the Tokyo 2020 Swimming Olympics in a past tense.
That's absolutely right. As you mentioned, Joseph, with the slightly disappointing World Championships, didn't manage to make it past the heats there in his favourite butterfly events. He has been quoted in the media as saying he wants to try this 200 IM to test out his slightly longer distance events. He does feel, he says, like he needs to bump up his training volume a little bit, and he wants to test that here in the 200 IM, but he's going to have his work cut out for him.
Well, low expectations have been the order of the day. Joseph Schooling himself was trying to tone down the height machine prior to this race. The fact he chose the 200-metre individual medley as his race of choice here and not his preferred, or his Olympic gold medal winning 100-metre butterfly certainly raised some eyebrows, but he's still an incredibly popular figure here in the Lion City State. He's going to have to be at his best, though, to get the better of this man, Danis Rapsis, who along with Mitchell Larkin racing out of lane 2, they're going to give them a good go.
Absolutely, really interested to see how Rapsis does here. Much better known as a middle distance freestyler. We saw him win the 400 freestyle last night. We saw him finish first in the 200 freestyle at the World Championships and then get disqualified. Here's Joseph Schooling.
And listen to the ovation, Chris. He's still loved here. He might have had his struggles in 2019, but can the home pool advantage, given the spur he needs to pick up what, regardless of the time, will be a huge win if he can best Mitchell Larkin, the fastest in the world this year at this event with 1:55, and Danis Rapsis, who's been winning races for fun across other events recently. A huge chance for Joseph Schooling, swimming out of 4, to stake a claim that his swimming career at the top level is not quite done yet.
Absolutely. He's racing against some world-class 200 IM swimmers here. So we won't be expecting him to finish ahead of Mitch Larkin, but he will be looking at the process here and seeing what he can take away from this race, take back into training to get him back on track for Tokyo next year.
So here we go then, the most anticipated race of Friday's evening session, the final of the men's 200-metre individual medley. Butterfly, back, breast and free. So you'd expect Joseph Schooling to come out hard here in lane number 4. And away they go. Schooling by no means the quickest off the blocks, but he's come out the early part of the race strong and just about leads. But boy, this is a close one, Chris.
It certainly is. Obviously with his butterfly background, we'd expect him to go out fast. But to be a world-class 200 medley swimmer, these guys are not slow on the first 50 metres butterfly. And you can see that Rapsis in lane number 3 is going out at least as fast as Joseph, maybe even a little faster.
And Mitchell Larkin as well, the fastest man in the world this year in this event, has had a stunning turn off that first into to change into the backstroke, and it looks like the two men in 2 and 3, Larkin and Rapsis, who are in front. Schooling at the moment back in third, and on his tail is Thomas Fraser-Holmes. So at the moment it's Larkin in front, Rapsis in second, Schooling just about having to make do with fourth at the moment now.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if he can hang on to Thomas Fraser-Holmes. He's been a world-class medley swimmer in the past. He has had his struggles out of the pool over the last couple of years, but a great medley swimmer. As you mentioned, Mitch Larkin, one of the fastest 200 medley swimmers in history, swimming in 1 minute 55, and then Rapsis, a world-class freestyler.
Cheered on by the home crowd. Schooling does appear to be having a good breaststroke leg here. He's closing back in on Rapsis in lane 3, and he's almost now within half a body length of Fraser-Holmes in lane 5, but Mitchell Larkin looks to be away and gone with just the 50 metres of freestyle to go. The fastest man in the world this year, and for him it doesn't appear to matter what lane he's swimming from.
It does. Larkin turning underneath 1 minute 30 there, so he's going to be well under 2 minutes. Interestingly, Joseph Schooling turning in 1 minute 31, so we'll see if he can dip under 2 minutes. That'll be a great swim for him.
Schooling coming right back into this. Mitchell Larkin looks uncatchable. Rapsis still in second. Schooling now just fading back into fourth place. It looks like he might miss out on a medal, unless he can push strong. It's going to be Mitchell Larkin for gold, Rapsis for silver, and he just misses out on bronze, which goes to Thomas Fraser-Holmes of Australia. Joseph Schooling only fourth, but the time I think was always going to be as important as the medal situation here. The time of 2 minute 23 for Schooling. What do you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad 200 IM time at all, especially for someone who has been focusing on butterfly for so many years now. I'm sure he would have loved to have gone under 2 minutes, and the swimmer Thomas Fraser-Holmes, who just picked him at the end, did manage to just nip under that 2 minutes barrier. Joseph just the wrong side of it.
And again, I mean, we were talking about this before our broadcast tonight, Chris. He's done it from lane number 2. I think that's the first winner from lane 2 we've had over the 2 days so far, Mitchell Larkin. Does that make the swim more impressive for you?
No, I mean, there's not much of a surprise there. Mitch Larkin, as you said at the start, fastest 200 IMer in the world, didn't perform as well as he would have hoped at World Championships, but an incredible 200 IM swimmer. And he's gone 1 minute 57 there. I mean, it wasn't a long time ago that would have been winning Olympics and winning World Championships. Obviously, Michael Phelps took the event to a new level, but 1:57 is still a world-class time for this event.
Another World Cup win for Mitchell Larkin, and I think he's going to be catching up with John.
Mitch, congratulations. What a race that was.
Yeah, fantastic. Walking out tonight, I knew obviously with Joe in there, the crowd was going to be pretty loud and excited, and it's fantastic to come to Singapore and obviously hear that, and it was a great race tonight.
And I mean, you go in there, you obviously, not just Joseph, we also had Dennis in there in this race as well. Went out super quick on that first 50. Does that like change your race tactics at all?
Yeah, a little bit. I knew obviously Joe would be out. Rapsy's got a great freestyle back end, so I knew he'd be coming at me. But at the same time, I try to get out with them, work my backstroke leg, which is my strength, and sort of really work the breaststroke leg, which is my weakness. And with 50 to go, it's basically shut your eyes and swing your arms and go.
Well, I tell you what, mate, you gave everyone here and everyone at home a show. Congratulations, we love it. Ladies and gentlemen, the incredible Mitchell Larkin.
Mitchell Larkin is a real force this year in the 2019 FINA World Cup. Another gold medal for him here in Singapore. Up next is the women's 100-metre backstroke. And again, so many little subplots and stories behind our races tonight, because it's a chance to see Katinka Hosu again of Hungary, who's been winning medals for fun. And interestingly, she swims out of 4. The second fastest qualifier, Emily Seebom, swims out of 5. But she had something of an upsetting reverse yesterday, with Holly Barrett and Stephanie Au of Hong Kong finishing front of her in the 50 metres backstroke.
Yeah, she will not have been happy about that, so we'll see how she responds this evening in the 100-metre backstroke. Katinka had a very fast heat, much faster than anyone would expect. She went sub 1 minute in the heat. Obviously not necessary to make the final, but she obviously wanted to make a bit of a statement. We'll see what Emily Seebom can do in response to that. She'll be looking to try and pick up that gold, but those two girls are world-class 100 backstrokers and both firm favourites of the Singapore crowd here.
Massive support for In lane 6, representing Hong Kong, China, Wong Toto. Carmen William Sestra there. All these Singapore swimmers being supported, as you'd expect, from the home crowd. And great to see Hong Kong picking up a couple of bronze medals. Of course, that bronze in the previous women's race means they've got more medals than Singapore in these championships so far.
Yeah, they've been impressive. Probably unsurprisingly a little bit better today than yesterday. Their travel was disrupted, as we know, so they weren't able to fly in as planned. So a little bit fatigued yesterday, didn't get to swim the day before as they would have hoped to, but have been on really good form today, the Hong Kong swimmers.
There is Katinka Hosu, certainly the lady of the moment, qualified with the fastest time, the only one of these ladies to break a minute, and on the bare face of it, a second might not sound like a long time, but when you're racing over 100 metres in the pool, it's a pretty big margin to pull back. So on pure times from this morning as well, Katinka Hosu you'd expect to win this company, but racing out of 5, can Emily Seahong get some measure of compensation for a disappointing bronze in the 50 metres backstroke yesterday? Chen in 1, Willa Sastra in 2, Au in 3, Hosu in 4, Seabom in 5, Wong in 6, Pedersen in 7, Isleta of the Philippines in 8. Just beating out Hosu on reaction times with Emily Seabom, but the race is now really going to develop in earnest past the first 25 metres.
It is similar to what we saw in the guys' 50-metre backstroke. Those ladies using the whole 15 metres to their advantage. Very, very strong butterfly kicks underwater. And as expected, very close between Seabom and Hosu coming into that first 50-metre turn.
And Stephanie Au is hanging tough there in lane number 3 as well, but at this all-important turn, I think maybe just Seabom was it. It was Emily Seabom just by a 1/10 of a second from Katinka Hosu. Can Emily Seabom pick up the gold and go 2 places better than she did in the 50 metres yesterday? Katinka Hosu is coming back and coming back in a very strongly. Katinka Hosu in 4, Seabom in 5, Stephanie Au still hanging on to their tails in 3rd. This is going to be desperately close. Hosu trying to come back at Seabom. Seabom just with the edge up to the wall, and it will be compensation for Emily Seabom, who just edges out by 0.05 of a second. Katinka Hosu, and a good swim from Hong Kong Stephanie Au in 3rd for her 2nd medal of the week.
Absolutely right, 59 seconds, those girls will be happy with that at a World Cup meet. And Stephanie from Hong Kong in lane 3, just missing that 1 minute barrier. She was competing at the World Championships as well, so obviously going forward she'll be trying to catch up with those girls who are just about a second ahead of her to try and break on that world scene.
Of course, the question now is, will that make her more disappointed than she lost out in the 50 metres, because she led at 50 metres in that race? Do you think that was just one of those swims where things didn't go to plan?
Yeah, she probably just didn't quite execute the skills as planned. But no, probably the most disappointing thing for her is those lost points in terms of the overall FINA World Cup standings. That could end up coming back to bite her a little bit.
Particularly when you bear in mind the top prize is $150,000 US. That's a lot of scratch. The difference between top and second as well. Let's hear. I'm sure John will ask Emily Seabom what went wrong yesterday as well as what went right tonight.
I tell you what, Emily, massive smile on your face. Did you love that?
I think for me it was just a good race because I put everything together really well.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, you took that in Tokyo, Katinka took it last week. We're seeing a bit of a battle. It seems to happen on these World Cups between you two. Your fastest time to date, you know, of the cluster, sorry. You know, are you enjoying seeing these improvements? Is that what you're working on?
Yeah, I think it's awesome racing Katinka. She definitely makes me push a lot harder than what I thought I could.
Yeah. And brilliant to see you get the gold as well. Look, congratulations. It's always brilliant to have her here. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Emily Seabom.
So a big win for Emily Seabom. Next up, it's the men's 50 metres breaststroke. Blink and you'll miss it. And another chance to see one of yesterday's very impressive swimmers, Italy's Nicola Martinenghi, who will start this race as favourite, but Michael Andrew, 7th in the World Championships in Guangzhou in this 50-metre breaststroke, and he was the only man, I think, out of this starting 8 that made that final in the career, wasn't he?
Yeah, you're right. This event, perhaps missing an absolute superstar, although Michael Andrew is a firm favourite of the younger swimmers. It is possibly the most loaded event tonight in terms of depth. The number of swimmers in this race who have been under 27 seconds means it's going to be an absolute dogfight, and I wouldn't like to make a call who's going to win this.
And we've seen 13-year-old swimmers in the pool tonight. What about a 32-year-old swimmer in Brazil's Felipe Franca Silva, who at one time was the world record holder in this event? So talk about strength and depth. It's like Star Trek Generations, this one.
Absolutely. That guy has managed to maintain his level of power for so many years. He is so strong, that guy. This event does rely a little bit more on power than some of the other events. You will see the 50-metre breaststrokers are pretty stacked guys compared to some of their events. Michael Andrew, obviously, we saw in the 50-metre backstroke just getting pipped out by Vladimir Morozov, so he'll be trying to pick up his first gold of the evening. But it's certainly not going to be easy for him with Martinenghi from Italy, who is the world junior record holder. He went under 27 seconds as a junior swimmer, so incredibly talented swimmer. It's going to be a dogfight, as I said. I wouldn't like to put any money on who's going to take this one. Again, it's going to most likely come down to who executes their race plan the best. Who's going to execute those skills? Who's going to have the best start, the best underwater, and that cleanest transition from start to swim?
The fact that he's fresh swimming today, or tonight I should say, would you give Martinenghi just the edge over Michael Andrew? Who are you going to pick if I put you on the spot for one of the two?
No comment.
He pleads the fifth.
I know, I'm sorry, that's a cop-out, isn't it?
It's Lin, Chinese Taipei in 1, Franca Silva of Brazil in 2, Rodriguez Brazil 3, Martinenghi looking to go back-to-back after yesterday for Medley in 4, 3 Americans, Andrew, Tiber and Wilson in 5, 6 and 7, and Thailand's Rim Pranama in lane 8. Let's see who's going to come up first. Looks to me that lane number 5, possibly just Michael Andrew in front, but Martinenghi's right there, and a big swim coming from lane 2 from that former world record holder, Felipe Franca.
Yeah, not much to choose here. Looks like Andrew maybe just edging ahead. He is a little bit tall than these other guys, but Martinenghi coming through really strong. And the Brazilian. It's so close between the 3, and Andrew Wilson in lane 7 as well. Who's taking it?
Going to be lane 5, I think. No,
it was Martinenghi. You called that at the start, Patrick. You called that.
Nicola Martinenghi's the freshness getting him home in front. What a swim though from Felipe Franca Silva. Maybe he's coming back to a bit of form, and somewhat surprisingly, Andrew Wilson in 4th. Michael Andrew having to make do with bronze.
And as we predicted, the closest race that you could imagine, 5/100ths of a second, splitting the top 3 swimmers. That's the click of the fingers, separating gold from bronze. 1,500 US to 500 US for 3rd.
Martinenghi picking up another gold after yesterday's impressive swim. And he'll catch up, I'm sure, with John very shortly. It's almost time for some presentations in the Parade of Champions for our first 6 events this evening. No Joseph Schooling, unfortunately, in that, having just missed out on bronze in the men's 200-metre individual relay. So we'll have the Parade of Champions coming up very shortly, and then we'll be back with the women's 50-metre butterfly. A chance to see Kate Campbell.
Nicola, 3 silvers so far on the tour, now a gold. It's got to be nice to be on top of the podium.
Yes, that's amazing race. That's unbelievable. Finish the season, because this is my last race of the season, in this way with the gold medal. We stay around the world for 2 months, so now it's time to come back for holidays time.
Yeah, I love it, mate. And I know you've been on the tour with us for a couple of stops. Are you having a good time? It looks like it.
Yeah. So good. This is my first World Cup, and I enjoy that. I want to swim the other. So I can't wait.
I can't wait, mate. It's been brilliant having you here. I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, the awesome Nicola Martinenghi.
The Did you know that one Lego brick can support 770 pounds of force? That's roughly the weight of a female grizzly bear. Get to know some fun and surprising facts as the National Science Challenge returns for a brand new season. Join host Sonia Chu and students from 24 schools to discover how science is all around us.
Are you guys ready? Yeah! All right, let's go!
The National Science Challenge 2019 premieres Tuesday, 20th August, 7:30 p.m. on 5. This program is brought to you by A-Star and the Science Center Singapore. You can also watch it on Toggle at the same time.
Breeze 超强有力，清除污渍，比普通的洗衣液更有效哦。你看 ，Breeze 把污渍去除得干干净净，有了它，吃什么都不怕。
限期促销，现在购买 Breeze 洗衣液可以半价享有第2瓶。
So we're back live poolside here in the OCBC Aquatic Centre. The Singapore leg of the 2019 Finnish Swimming World Cup after visits to Tokyo in Japan and Jinan in China. Singapore is putting on a spectacular swimming show here ahead of a small break before the World Cup goes to Europe with stops in Budapest and Berlin. And then Kazan of Russia finishing off in Doha when big money will be up for grabs. Good out to here, they're just arranging this parade of champions, and I think you're in favour of this, aren't you, Chris? This revamped medal ceremony, if you like, to get all the first 6 bronzes, silvers and golds out together.
I certainly am. It's a little bit more fun, it's a bit different to what you would see at a World Championships or Olympics. The swimmers love it, the crowd prefer it, the spectators like it because it's fast, it's furious, it celebrates in a more modern way.
Well, while we wait for the swimmers, let's have a quick check-in to the highlights of the races so far that we've seen today, including Joseph Schooling just missing out in a medal. Well, it's already flown by, hasn't it? We've had 7 heats already. It was the most impressive performance for you of the night so far.
Probably Jakobosh and the 200 freestyle coming off the back of that 400 IM. That was a surprising swim for me. In terms of individual performance, that was really impressive. But Vlad Vorotsov in the 50 backstroke going 24.4. That's the most world-class swim that we've seen this evening probably so far. Mitch Larkin, the 200 IM going 157, that's also world class. And then obviously that 50 breaststroke that we just saw at the end, that was probably the most exciting race, finishing 0.05 of a second between the top 3 swimmers.
Yeah, if you're just joining us, you've missed the second FINA World Cup record go in 24 hours, and both of them taken down by the same man. And again, you were asking the question earlier, with this packed swimming calendar, why wasn't he producing this kind of magic in Guangzhou at the World Championships? I mean, is it just unfortunate for him? Is it just a coincidence that his form is peaking now? Or has he just decided to focus on the World Cup this year?
That's a difficult question to answer. I'm sure his coach and him are probably asking themselves the same question. I shouldn't think that he would be focusing on the World Cup over the World Championships. It is a big money circuit, but the World Championships and the Olympic Games are where the swimmers need to perform. It's where they want to perform. It's where their sponsors want them to perform. I would imagine he just didn't quite get his final preparation right for there, and he's managed to adjust a few things for the World Cup where he's just getting faster and faster. He'll give himself a little break from training now before coming back into the European cluster, where he'll probably start a little bit slower and then get a little faster again as the circuit goes through.
So there's a little recap of our winners so far as we get ready for the Parade of Champions for our first 6 events. If you are just joining us, no luck for Joseph Schooling in terms of medals, but while we wait for the athletes, very quickly once more, you are thinking that that time of around about 2 minutes will give him some encouragement moving forward?
I mean, it's a very decent 200 IM time. I was particularly surprised and impressed by his breaststroke. He really came through the field in the breaststroke there. Obviously, no one has seen him race breaststroke before, but that was really impressive.
There's Vitalina Simonova, who picked up bronze in the 400-metre individual medley, who's, if you are new to this FINA Swimming World Cup Parade of Champions, is leading off the first 6 bronze medal winners who all come out together. They can have a nice little photo together as well. Just streamline it somewhat. There's been some conjecture that medal ceremonies have not really made swimming as viewer-friendly as it might be, but credit to the powers that be, they seem to have made a nice adjustment here.
Absolutely. For sure it helps. When we get to the internationals, you can understand the swimmers want to stand on the podium, see their flag, their national anthem. Totally fair enough. At this one level below that World Championship and Olympic level, I think it's fair to keep it a little bit more fun.
So well done to Simonova, well done to the Hong Kong swimmer Ao as well, and Cheng, 2 Hong Kong bronze medalists. That takes their medal haul to 3 for this Singapore leg. And here is the man that we didn't actually see swim tonight, but he still picked up a bronze. He swam this morning and picked up that time of 15:35. Henning Mulleiter, that time was good enough for the silver medal in the men's 1500 metre freestyle. We must also mention Owen Yang, who we just saw pick up his bronze to give Singapore their second medal.
Yeah, nice medal for him. Possibly unexpected coming into the meet, but he'll have seen that start list come out and thought, oh, tasty.
Ladies and gentlemen, so these are the silver medalists, but the next batch of 6 swimmers is what it's all about. Some spectacular swims in amongst the 6 men and women you're about to see, including Vladimir Morozov backing up from his World Cup record yesterday with a World Cup record today in the 50 metre backstroke. Here are our champions. Hozu leading the way, who's stealing a real march against Kate Campbell in these early stages. We're still to see Kate Campbell, she'll come up next.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing Kate Campbell tonight. Interestingly, for anyone watching this evening, she actually swam the 200 freestyle heats this morning. She posted an incredibly fast 100 metre split and then floated through the rest of the race, so that was obviously intentional. She went 52 seconds on the first 100 of her 200 freestyle. Not really sure what the reasoning was for that, a bit of practice maybe, but a world-class time this morning that most people didn't get to see.
Technically, you're allowed to use the heats as a training swim?
Usually if you tell the other swimmers in the heat that you're going to do it so they don't get a bit of a shock, it's an alright thing to do. If you finish the race legally, the time will count.
Vladimir Morozov of Russia, there's the World Cup record. He's straight out, of course, because he's back in the pool very shortly. None of them hanging around for their celebrations. And there you quite rightly mentioned Zuzana Jakubowicz for that incredible win at the 200 metre freestyle when you got the better of Michelle Coleman and Camille Chang. That was probably the shock of the night so far, you have to say.
It was for me. It was a very, particularly the way she swam it, with that really, really fast last 50 in a state of fatigue, just shows you the kind of training that she must be doing.
Never seen him with that smile on his face. Mitchell Larkin, he picks up the gold, the fastest time in the world this year in the 200 metre individual medley. Real ambassador for the sport of swimming, and he's followed by another Aussie, Emily Seebohm, atoned for a disappointment in the 50 metre backstroke yesterday by picking up gold in the 100 metres moments ago.
Yeah, not had the most successful year by her own standards. A little bit disappointed with her performances. Missed out on selection for the World Championships and some of her main events. But she's been strong at the World Cup and she's got to reset now for next year because she is a world-class swimmer. Congratulations to our 6 gold medalists. Now they'll pick up 12 points each in terms of the standings, I believe, for those gold medals. It's 9 for the silver and 6 for the bronze, with various bonus points added for overall meets and records broken. And of course, in terms of records broken, I'm thinking you get 20 points or extra points for those records broken. Yeah, the points come from the World Cup cluster points come from the strongest individual swim of the meet. So they'll go to FINA points, which were just calculated based on the world record. The swimmer with the single fastest individual swim on the male and the female side will pick up 24 bonus points, which will be added to their points for the cluster in the overall World Cup. And that is really important when it comes down to winning that $150,000. So it is possible, as we build up to the women's 50 metre butterfly, to win the title without going to all 7 meets. I'm assuming that's more common than not, isn't it? It is possible. What you tend to find, and we've seen it the last couple of years with Vlad Morozov and Katinka Hosu being the overall winners, they have competed in every single leg of the tour. But yes, it is possible. It has happened in previous years, but not in the last couple of years, and it's unlikely to happen this year. So of course, with the competition taking a break, the World Cup after this meet until the European swing starts, there's still 4 more events to come after
but there's plenty of water to be swum before we can start thinking about who the world champions are. But having said that, it'll be a big surprise if Kate Campbell isn't in the final reckoning. She's got this great little duel going on with the Hungarian swimmer. There wasn't much between them at the start of this meet, but the gauntlet's been certainly thrown down by a Hungarian rival as we get a look at Chingwen Kwa, the quaint swimming dynasty of Singapore.
Yeah, a favourite of the home crowd. She's been on the scene for a while, but funnily enough doing best times this year. She's 27, just come 27 on Sunday. She's 27 years old on Sunday, so she'll be looking for an early birthday present hopefully. But you know, she's posting best times in her mid to late 20s, so it just shows you a little change in training stimulus can have a great impact, and she's a great role model for the up-and-coming Singapore swimmers as well.
Well, Holly Barrett won't start favourite here, but that didn't stop her winning yesterday when she got the better of Emily Seabohm in the 100 metres. And now we see an incredible story. This Jeanette Oxen, the 2013 world champion, is back from having a baby. How often do you see the female swimmers come back into the pool after having babies?
Not very regularly, though. It is happening more often in the last few years because a few of the swimmers have shown that they can be successful after having a child, and I think it's motivated some of those women to do it.
Kate Campbell won the 50 metres free yesterday, trying to do the 50 metres butterfly tonight and pick up some more of those precious points. And again, as we've seen, you wouldn't expect there to be too much between the first three here, would you, come the final reckoning after one length of the pool?
No, as you mentioned, Ottesen with that butterfly background, but you know, who would bet against Kate Campbell? She's a sprinting machine.
So here we go. It's going to be Kwa of Singapore in 1, Trissard Thailand in 2, Ottesen Denmark 3, Campbell Australia 4, Zhang China 5, Barrett Australia 6, Coleman Sweden 7, and Al-Khaldi of the Philippines in 8. Of course, Coleman's already had a disappointing swim here tonight over a longer distance. Who's going to show the fastest reactions? Who'll come up above the water first to get that early advantage? All eyes on Kate Campbell in 4. She starts well as we wait to see who rises first, Chris.
Yeah, Ottesen using that underwater unsurprisingly with that butterfly background. Kate Campbell with that powerful stroke just coming through the field now. But you have to say Holly Barrett, as you mentioned, looking very, very strong in lane 6.
So Holly Barrett trying to pause her second upset in 24 hours. It's going to be very close. It's Campbell and Barrett. I think Barrett's going to get there. She's done it again. Oh my word, Holly Barrett turn up time for the second time in 24 hours. She's bested the race favourite. Kate Campbell to make do with second. And Jeanette Ottesen a great run on her comeback in third.
Yeah, Holly Barrett, she's having great final sessions, not qualifying for the finals in the middle lanes, but she's really, really showing what she's made of in the finals, taking down some of those stars. She is obviously a world-class swimmer, but she doesn't have that same clout in terms of name that Kate Campbell does, so she will be delighted to take that scalp.
Just goes to show the strength and depth of the Australian squad. Yesterday she beat her fellow Australian Emily Seabohm. Tonight she's beaten her fellow Australian Kate Campbell. They have got severe strength and depth, and they're really attacking this World Cup with gusto.
Absolutely, and that's her picked up 2 golds, 12 points in each, so in terms of points for the cluster, that'll have done a world of wonders for Holly Barrett there.
Of course, the bigger picture though is Kate Campbell is going to lose ground to Katinka Hodu after that. They were locked together at the start of this. Let's hear what Holly Barrett's got to say after her second big swim in as many nights.
Well, Holly, I tell you what, that was fast. Your fastest time of the cluster and the fastest time in this event for the whole cluster so far. How are you feeling?
Good. It was a pretty good PB for me as well, so I'm very happy.
You know what? A lot of athletes, I didn't know that was PB by the way, but a lot of athletes define success as a PB. Would you want to be one of those athletes?
Definitely, yeah.
And I've just had a bit of word as well, not to rub it in, but that time would have got you a silver at the World Championships. Next one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got it, ladies and gentlemen. She's awesome. We love her. It's Holly Barrett.
Congratulations to Holly Barrett, who takes away the 50-metre women's butterfly gold medal. Men's 100-metre freestyle next. And, well, surely he can't do this again. He's already had 2 World Cup records inside 24 hours. Bearing in mind his World Cup record Yesterday was the last race of the evening. Vladimir Morozov could, in theory, smash 3 records in less than 24 hours. It's going to be a big arsehole here, surely.
Well, he's clearly taking it seriously. We saw him run away from that medal presentation to get back to the call room and get his mind focused. He obviously wants to do something a bit special here. He does have a best time of 47.62, and last week at the World Cup meet in Jinan, he went 47.99, which was the first time he'd been under 48 seconds for a number of years, so he was delighted with that swim. He's clearly on form. I don't see any reason why he won't go faster tonight.
And you don't think the lane will be a barrier here? We've already seen Mitchell Larkin win out of lane 2 tonight. Who are the big danger men here for him? Because there are several swimmers here we haven't seen that often so far in Singapore.
Yeah, we've got the Italian Condorelli, very, very successful swimmer. Great as a youth swimmer, originally swam for the US, has moved to compete for Italy, and Jabo, who we saw race and get a medal last night as well. Those two are going to be quite dangerous, but I think the race between them is for silver, to be honest.
Of course, we should also point out, if he does break the World Cup record here, Morozov will be breaking his own time that he set just last week in Jinan in China, when he went 47.99. So he's broken the 48-second barrier inside the last 7 days. But can he produce another monster swim coming less than what? Must be less than 40 minutes since he broke that world record, Chris.
Yeah, he hasn't had a lot of time to recover. Luckily, it was only a 50-metre event, so shouldn't have taken too much out of him. He's obviously brimming with confidence. He'll take that into this. I think he'll be expecting something good, and I've got a feeling we're going to see something pretty nice here.
And there's a nervous hush going across the OCBC Aquatic Centre. I think they agree with Chris that we're about to see something special, because every time Vladimir Morozov has touched water in Singapore, it has been magical so far. Men's 100-metre freestyle here. Still plenty of swimming to come after this, including the women's 100-metre breaststroke, the men's 200-metre butterfly, and the mixed 4x1 freestyle relay. Looking forward to that, but we concentrate now on the men's 100-metre freestyle. It's Lim in 1, Morozov in 2, Cow in 3, Condorelli of Italy in 4, Zabo in 5, Chua in 6, Sirkin in 7, and Ravipon of Thailand in 8. Now, how is he looking for lane number 2 in the early stages?
Yeah, interestingly, Jabo in lane 5 seemed to get the slightly better start. He's going out fast, but Morozov going with him. Condorelli in lane 4, I should say it was actually Canada that he used to represent, not the US, I've just remembered. But those 3 out to the early lead, it does look like Morozov's going to turn first. 22.7, that's fast.
Is he ever? 22.76. The only man to break inside 23 seconds in the first 50. Has he got the world record? The world record, I think, is too much of an ask, but the World Cup record of 47.99 in him. He's being chased all the way by Zabo, and in lane 4, Condorelli's also there. He's tying up for me, Morozov. Has he done enough to hold on, though? Morozov is clinging on here, and